In the glittering courts of medieval Europe, power was everything, and perception was often more dangerous than any sword. This is the dramatic story of the king who was declared mad by his own court, a tale of paranoia, betrayal, and political survival centered around Charles VI of France. Known to history as Charles the Mad, his tragic reign would plunge France into chaos and leave a scar on the monarchy that lasted generations. Charles VI was crowned king in 1380 at just 11 years old after the death of his father, Charles V of France. At first, the young king was admired. He was handsome, charismatic, and eager to rule wisely. The people called him Charles the Beloved. But behind the splendor of royal ceremonies and shining armor, dark shadows were forming. The pressures of ruling during the ongoing conflict with England in the 100 Years' War began to weigh heavily on his mind. In 1392, everything changed. While leading an expedition to punish a rebellious noble, Charles suddenly experienced a terrifying breakdown. Without warning, he attacked his own knights in a forest, killing several men before being restrained. This shocking event marked the beginning of his long struggle with what many historians believe was a severe mental illness. From that day forward, episodes of confusion, delusion, and violent outbursts would haunt his reign. The court whispered one chilling word: madness. During his episodes, Charles believed he was made of glass and would shatter if touched. At times, he failed to recognize his own wife, Isabeau of Bavaria, or his children. He forgot he was king. He howled like a wolf. These disturbing behaviors spread fear through the royal palace. Nobles began to question whether the king was fit to rule. Some saw tragedy. Others saw opportunity. The declaration of insanity was not just a medical judgment, it was a political weapon. If the king was mad, then someone else had to govern in his name. Powerful factions formed within the French court. On one side stood the Burgundians, led by John the Fearless. On the other were the Armagnacs, loyal to the king's brother, Louis I, Duke of Orléans. What began as whispers about the king's condition soon erupted into open rivalry, assassination, and civil war. In 1407, Louis of Orléans was murdered in the streets of Paris on orders from John the Fearless. The kingdom descended into the French Civil War between the Armagnacs and Burgundians. Meanwhile, Charles VI drifted in and out of lucidity. During his clear moments, he tried to assert authority. But during his dark periods, he was a puppet, manipulated by whichever faction controlled access to him. The once beloved king became a symbol of a broken crown. This internal chaos gave England the perfect opportunity to strike. In 1415, Henry V of England invaded France and won a devastating victory at the Battle of Agincourt. With France divided and its king incapacitated, resistance crumbled. In 1420, under the Treaty of Troyes, Charles VI, heavily influenced by Burgundian allies, recognized Henry V as the rightful heir to the French throne, disinheriting his own son, the Dauphin Charles. This shocking decision was seen by many as proof of the king's complete madness, or perhaps proof of how deeply he was controlled. When Charles VI died in 1422, France was fractured, occupied, and humiliated. Two rival kings claimed the throne, Henry VI of England and the Dauphin, who would later become Charles VII of France. The madness of one king had nearly destroyed a kingdom. Yet out of this darkness would rise a young peasant girl named Joan of Arc, who would help restore French pride and turn the tide of war. But the question remains, was Charles VI truly mad, or was he a victim of political manipulation and medieval misunderstanding of mental health? In an era with no modern psychology, strange behavior was feared and exploited. The royal court that declared him insane may have been protecting the kingdom, or protecting their own ambitions. His condition, possibly schizophrenia or bipolar disorder according to modern scholars, was beyond the understanding of his time. The tragedy of the Mad King is not just about illness. It is about power. It is about how quickly loyalty can turn into conspiracy. It is about how a crown can become a cage. Charles VI began his reign as the beloved king and ended it as a broken ruler remembered for instability and chaos. His story reminds us that in royal courts, perception can be deadlier than poison, and sometimes the greatest threat to a king comes not from foreign enemies, but from his own court. This is the haunting legacy of the king who was declared mad by his own court, a ruler trapped between reality and delusion, surrounded by ambition, betrayal, and a kingdom slipping through his trembling hands.